Hi, do you know what autism is? What do parents feel? What pain is experienced when their child suffers from illness? When the doctor suddenly asks, will you abandon your child? When a child can simply take a cup and drink, or can put on socks. Autism is a sentence, and medicine is helpless in this case. But if there's an entrance to the disease, there should be a way out. Watch the amazing story of getting out of autism.
Eugene, we have arrived to the kindergarten. Unfasten your seatbelt. Well done. Come out. Eugene, close the door, please. Close it. This story began a few months ago. During our club classes on hypnosis, we discovered a special state of consciousness, a state of parasomnambulism. And in these states, we started to get a reliable, objective information about everything. And we started to provide people with consultations, as a lot of people want to know what happened in the past and what will happen in future. And once an old lady turned to us for such a consultation. She asked about her whole family and what was ahead of them. There was a child, her grandson. He had autism, he didn't speak. And when we began to dive and share the information about his life, we saw a blockage in the structure of his psyche and we simply destroyed it. Imagine our surprise when in 3 weeks his granny wrote that the child began to talk. He began to pronounce letters during training with his father. In spring, we received a letter from his mother of the charming child Eugene, who was diagnosed with autism and a psycho-speech development delay. And we started to work. No one can tell about the child better than his mother. That's why we asked her to tell her story. Tell us about your child, just a few words. I am Eugene's mother. He is a charming, wonderful child. He was born without any defects, any deviations. He was developing as an ordinary child up to 1 year. There were no problems. And after he turned 1 year old, just in a few days after the DTP vaccination, we noticed that something wrong began to happen to our child. Something incomprehensible for us.
Working with Eugene, one of the first things I noticed was that autism appeared after vaccination. Not like caused by vaccination, but was activated after it. The true reason was much deeper. It was karmic story deals with his parents.
The child lost the contact with reality. He turned inward. His condition became, to describe it in terms easy to understand, it's like to look from the outside at a person who has fallen to thinking. You are calling him and he simply doesn't react. That was the condition of our child. Of course, we as parents began to worry about this condition. We began to turn to doctors, and gradually we were led to the fact that our child has autism. Of course, at that time it was an incomprehensible word for us. We had never heard of such a thing, or even thought that such a thing could happen to our child. That's why at first we didn't do anything. But when we went to a certain doctor into his office and we were asked, are you going to abandon the child? That was the moment I realized that our case was a very serious one. Later, Eugene went through a very difficult period. His condition didn't get worse, but he shrank into himself deeper and deeper. Neither more nor less than we began to lose him. psychologically and emotionally. The child stopped to respond to us, stopped to notice us. He passed by us like by an empty space. When we came up to him, trying to hug him, the child began to scream and to push us away. Such a difficult period of time began, which was very hard to come to terms with. And even now, it's hard for me to bring it up. After a while, Eugene developed another health problem: gluten intolerance. The child couldn't eat wheat products, so we were prohibited to eat everything containing wheat, like cookies, loaf, bread, which he liked so much. And we faced another difficult problem: how to feed our child. The child completely refused food. He didn't eat anything except milk. Such a variety of diseases piled on us that we didn't know how to get out of that. It was a terrible period when I needed to get out of that situation as quickly as possible. Gluten intolerance is a very common diagnosis, I would say additional one, for children with autism. Autism and nutrition, digestion, are physiologically related. This is really a problem for parents, how to feed a child, and it was our joy when Eugene left his gluten-free diet in the first months, and he began to eat normally. It was a breakthrough. Visiting the doctors gave us nothing. We were prescribed nootropics, sedatives, and as to nutrition, we were told feed the child with zucchini. And these nootropics, sedative, did they help? Yes, they did. For about a year, we worked accordingly to the scheme given us by psychiatrists, neurologists. We gave him prescribed pills, made injections with nootropics. But the child's condition was getting worse. He became more aggressive. His normal sleep disappeared. The child became inadequate. To say in few words, the kid became inadequate. It was impossible to go out with him, to stand in line, to go for a walk outside. He put his hand out, ran away in different directions. He could jump out into the road. The sense of danger had completely gone. If I tried to stop him, he twisted his arm, shrieked, screamed. He could fall to the ground or stamp it with his feet. He gave an impression of an animal, of a little animal, a beastie, incapable of training or anything. He was completely unresponsive to any kind of persuasion, conversation, and especially if you stop him by grabbing or holding his hand. He didn't know the stop command. Then, in a while, I realized that my child's health, both physical and psychological, emotional, it all depends on me, because visiting the doctors didn't give us anything at all. I entered the internet and started to surf through all the information related to this behavior, condition, and correction of this state. The very first thing I came across was Sofia Dorianska's website, who was curing children with the help of complexes of vitamins and minerals. She's a psychiatrist. She runs a clinic abroad. I wrote to her and we passed one course of treatment, which didn't help us at all. He stopped, let's say, fighting, because I fed him with vitamins and minerals. His condition didn't change at all. And she was the one who provided me with the information that children shouldn't be injected with nootropics, as they make their condition and health even worse. After I watched her video, I cancelled all nootropics myself without doctors. I just said, that's it, stop. And after a while, we began to notice that our child at least stopped being aggressive and nervous at night. But his condition still remained quite serious. We kept trying to get out of autism. I was searching for the information all nights through, and I found one more variant. It was a center of Jewish medicine, where we entered as a so-called treatment course. We got in touch on Skype. They turned some music for us, we listened to it, and it was supposed to cause some changes. I don't know the way it worked. Probably these were some hypnotic or coding techniques, but the condition of my child began to improve. He stopped freaking out. He became calm. And my condition, it also improved. But at a certain point, everything stopped. There was a progress and it stopped. Just a stop and no even a step forward. We were going on a treatment to Israel, as we were told that it was possible to extricate Eugene out of his state. We decided not to miss this opportunity, although we had a feeling that they wouldn't help us. We had such an internal sensation that we need to continue our search. If there is an entrance, then there is a way out. And at that moment, on the 30th of March, I entered the internet. I've been subscribed to Natalia Zaitseva already for a long time, and I have seen her videos before. I was interested in this, but I didn't get that I could have already suggested her a variant to work with an autistic child. And when I entered the internet and saw that information that Natalia and Andrew successfully worked with the girl who was in autistic condition, and in the same breath I had hope that this was the place where we would get help. I felt it from inside that exactly Natalia and Andrew would help us. I called my husband, we talked this through, and later on the same day I wrote to Natalia. And during the work itself, did you have any doubts during the work? Would it help it or not? And this is where the very interesting moments began. When we were corresponding with Natalia, she said that the work would take 2 days. We talked with her on the 9th of April. I agreed, as we had used to wait even more time before. So we returned to our routine. And there was a situation in the evening when my kid was in front of the computer watching a cartoon, and I was near him also watching a cartoon. And at some point my child turned towards me and gave me that look like he had seen me for the first time in his life. He understood that there is another person around him, and this person is his mom. He took a good long look at my face, looked into each of my eyes, at my hair, at my body. He was just scanning me from head to toe. This gave me shivers. I didn't expect this. I looked at him and I got an insight. Probably they are working with him. I sat down and I pulled myself together. Natalia said to wait for 2 days. It has probably seemed to me. Then the night fell. We started to get ready for bed. I took Eugene to take a bath. It was very hard for me to bath him before. My child was screaming, broke away from my hands, escaped from the water. He couldn't stand it. This time he enjoyed it. He was trying to catch the water sprays. When I pointed a shower head towards him, he laughed, giggled. He had such an interesting reaction, which he had never had before. I thought about Natalia and their work again. Then Eugene went to bed, and so did I. And in 5 minutes, I suddenly felt bad. I had a feeling that I'm riding a roundabout. I got dizzy, I felt sick, slightly nauseous. My condition was similar to poisoning. I began to remember, what had I eaten? I had a good meal, I couldn't get poisoned. That condition was very interesting and unexpected. And in 20 minutes, it went back to normal, and I thought again that Natalia was working with me at that moment. Did you receive the video after that? Yes. In 5 minutes, I saw my cell phone light it up. It was a message from Natalia. She said that they had just finished their work. I responded at once that we had felt this. We felt that it was done. In the next 2 days, Natalia sent the video. The most interesting was that there was no sound in the video. That's how powerful the work and the energy were. The sound went off. When we are working with karmic stories, we come across incredible things. It's true that the person's energy is changing, it's true that unbelievable things occur in life, up to devilry. At first we also went into shock from such moments, and now we accept it quite normally when the sound hasn't been recorded, the equipment switched off, the files superimposed on one another simply got deleted, and so on. Some things are impossible to explain technically, but they occur and we take them for granted. When I was watching the video, I didn't have any sensations, but during the next 2 days, when the child was falling asleep, I had the feeling that he was electrocuted. All his body twitched that much, his head, arms and legs, all his body was shivering. Not that much during the first night as during the next one. The second night I sat near him all night long because I was concerned about him that much. In the morning I couldn't stand it anymore. And I wrote to Natalia about his condition and that I was worrying. And in few hours Natalia wrote to me that they checked Eugene and she told me very good news. That the kids' neural connections were re-establishing. In other words, my son was getting better. And you know, after this moment, my child changed totally. We work with children more than one time. In fact, at first we work with some children every day, and with the others several days a week or 2. The further, the rarer. At first, there is a lot of work, because step by step we extricate his consciousness, his soul, and we help him to take the controls over his body. Emotions appeared. The child began to notice what was happening around him. He began to notice the subjects. He began to show an interest. It was impossible to attract him with any toy before. And he began to come up himself to take a toy and to explore it and so on. That's the changes have begun to occur so quickly that it was unusual and incredible for us. We were sitting quietly and watched because it didn't happen for so many years, and then it flowed all in once. My husband and I were just sitting and watching with our mouths opened. One day something new happened, the next day something new, and the next day something new. In fact, autistic children require a long-term work and some tiny changes and or skills gradually appear after a hard work of the specialists, speech therapists, psychologists. Indeed, usually these are the tiny steps forward in the developing of the motor and speech skills. Here I can admit major changes, which kids usually have to practice during years. But after working with Natalia Zaitseva, these skills appeared during several months. We didn't have any rollbacks. We used to have situations like this. You have a lesson with Eugene, teach him something in a few days, you start from scratch. The child doesn't remember what has been done to him. Now you don't even need to show him what to do. I have a feeling that he already knows this. He comes up and simply does this. But every mother might know what is it like when a child is not able simply to take his cup and drink. And to teach him to hold a cup, you need to spend from 1 to 2 months to teach him take it with his hands. Eugene didn't have any motor skills. He couldn't hold neither a cup nor a spoon, neither to pick a piece of paper, nor to unwrap a candy. All these skills were completely absent. And at this moment, he is able to pick up such tiny objects, which even I can take with my fingers on my hand. My child does this brilliantly. I would like to admit the improvement of motor skills. Usually it takes quite a lot of time. Sometimes it is necessary to spend 6 months or a year to make these skills precise and accurate. But Eugene's mother admits that Eugene is even able to unfold a candy, and that he does this easily. He began to throw the objects with one hand and to catch them with another one. And that's also phenomenal. For the children whose motor skills are defective, this is very difficult and requires long-time trainings. We have such a breakthrough since April. It is even hard to remember now what Eugene could and couldn't do before, as we already perceive him as a neurotypical child. The only thing is his speech. It hasn't developed as it should yet. Otherwise, he is absolutely the same as his co-equals. He runs, plays and laughs like all the others. If you talk about the emotional sphere, imagine when you haven't seen for 4 years your child smiles or laughs, or he is joyful when a mother or father comes up to him. And then this all happens at once. You can't even imagine how much joy it brought to us. We were so glad, so happy. Okay. Show me your nose, cheeks, forehead, your eyes. Well done. Your head, ears. Your belly. Great. Do like this. And now clap. Clap with your hands. With your hands. And now bye-bye. Good. And now give me a hug. And now give me a kiss. Do you love mommy? Do you love mommy? Yes. And I love you too. I sent to Natalia videos where Eugene is laughing, where he hugs his dad and has fun. And this all was after Natalia's work. The whole variety of emotions has found the expressions very brightly and exciting.
No,
Hey,
скажи,
hey!
пап, no,
Hey, the
лошадка,
horse!
no.
Hey, the horse!
Супер!
That's great!
Давай, скажи, пап, давай!
Move on, Dad!
Эх ты, скажи,
Hey, the
старый конь!
horse! Now we are just happy with his condition. We are very glad. We look at Eugene and enjoy. We are just in raptures about what we see. Emotions are the most meaningful and important. Sometimes it even doesn't work out to establish an emotional contact. This is extremely difficult, almost impossible. And here the mom admits that he began to hug and kiss. It's just incredible. I am simply admired by the results. It is impossible in such a short period of time. Such huge work has been done, and the mom admits that she has a neurotypical child. I consider this impossible. How does Eugene feel now? Today Eugene feels very well, comfortable. Now we take Eugene to the kindergarten. Earlier, before the work, Eugene was able to attend a kindergarten only for 15-20 minutes. I took Eugene to the kindergarten and I stood outside waiting for the nursery teacher to call me to take him home because he screamed, freaked out and cried. I couldn't let this run its course because this is a trauma for a child. That's why I used to take him home. Now, simply in 2 weeks after the work, Eugene attends the kindergarten from 9 till 12. He feels excellent there. The nursery teachers admit that he plays with other children and interacts with them. Whereas previously he used to huddle himself up in the corner and played on his own, then now he is around children playing. It is possible to catch his attention, to kindle his interest. He feels absolutely normal and comfortable in the kindergarten. It is simply not typical for the autistic children. Usually they behave very distracted, huddle themselves somewhere up in a corner, don't respond to the addressed speech to other children. Thus, the communicative skills of such kids are out of whack. Even if they regularly attend a communicative group, even in this case, the communicative skill would develop very slowly. Now we easily visit the stores. He is peaceful. He doesn't freak out. He neither climbs the shelves nor falls down on the floor as he used to do before. And of course I couldn't take him there. And now we attend such places with pleasure. We buy everything we need. Now Eugene can pick the food he needs and he can show what has caught his interest. Before it was like a punishment for me. And now it is a pleasure to visit stores together. He is calm in the shops, walks alongside with his mom, gazes at everything, chooses. Usually, a particular course line is necessary for autistic children, a certain route. If another route is chosen or another shop, the children start being aggressive. They freak out and fluster. When they step aside from habitual and they emotionally overreact. In the case Eugene's mother describes, the results are absolutely incredible. Do you attend an ordinary kindergarten? It's an absolutely ordinary kindergarten. Eugene has the classes with psychologists and all the other regular classes. Eugene doesn't attend any special classes as an autistic child. No, we attend separately a rehabilitation center in Voronezh city. I meet teachers I know who haven't seen me for a while, and they haven't seen Eugene for a while, and all of them noticed that Eugene's behavior has changed all that much. The way he used to behave, and now they see his progress. One of the teachers said, I don't see an autist in your child. These were the most wonderful words which I've heard recently. This is just great. And please tell our viewers, how old is your child now? Eugene is 5 years old now. And what do you want? What do you expect? You know, I want to tell about Natasha. Her team is absolutely great. They haven't just worked with my child and forgotten about us. They continue to lead us. We exchange letters all the time. We keep in touch. They work not only with my child, they work with us. They look through us, provide us with practical recommendations. I participate in their chat groups, look through the changes which are there, some new exploratory works. I'm keeping a close watch on everything. I'm reading, I'm trying to work through everything by myself to be able to join at least a little bit this info diving. And the most amazing is that they don't leave us. They continue to lead us. As Natalia has said, an autistic child needs about 2 years to recover. Indeed, the time of recovery, the soul mentions itself. And it proceeds not only from the child would be considered neurotypical by our standards. The child would speak, would feel comfortable in society, a child would make progress, the child would organize his life the way his soul desires. And he would feel himself, the soul proceeds from this. And that's why it says 2 years is fine. You see, the organs of articulation don't develop that quickly. These are physiological issues. For those children who have infantile cerebral palsy, for example, for those who have a part of brain removed, it's all about time, and the soul set the time. For somebody it's a 2 or 3 years period, for somebody less, but this recovery period, which we announce through a mother, it's real. That's what the soul said, and it doesn't lie. Just a little time has passed since April, and we have already such great results. I think that in 2 years, Eugene won't need any additional consultations. The child has almost escaped this condition. He has gone out of the autism. We still need to practice speech skills for Eugene to start talking. He is great in spelling the words after me. We have already reached 12 words. He is able to repeat 12 words after me. Pronounce goose. One more time.
Гусь.
Гу. Ну подожди. Ничего. Давай скажем. Гу.
Let's say it.
Молодец. У нас
Well
новое
done.
слово.
We have a new word. In future, I'm 100% sure that my child will become normal and that everything is going to be great. I don't even have another thought. We don't even think the other way. Everything is going to be great. Irina, tell us please, do you have any suggestions or something to say to the other parents of the special children? Of course, I would like to tell all the parents to stay together first of all, because a lot of families fall apart after this diagnosis. Mainly the fathers break down. That's why in any situation you should stand together. You should always think that there is a way out of any situation, and this situation as well has a way out. You should build yourselves up and move forward. You should look for the way to get out of this situation. But of course, not everyone believes in infodiving, because I came across some mothers who simply don't acquire this information. That's why I can't appeal to everyone and say that they should have this work done. But at the same time, for those who believes in this, with their hearts and souls, who have an inner feeling that they could get help here, I can suggest to those people to address themselves to Natalia, to Andrei, to their team, to get out of this situation. They really give you a great impetus and a good help. For today, this is the only way to painlessly escape from this condition once and for all. Thank you, Irina, for such words from all the members of Natalia Zaitseva's team. Thank you for the conversation. It was great to hear you. We are glad that Eugene is all right, that he is progressing. We are happy for your situation, and thank you for the conversation. Thank you, Natalia. Thank you. We love you very much. It brings tears to my eyes. We cry with Natalia regularly. She is on her side and I'm on the other. I am listening to you talk and think, you've already made it through hell. You've been to hell. When I look at the children, I see the ocean at the depths. I see only the subconsciousness, but I don't see this outer side. I can't see it only in your videos, which is changing. But what you have been, it's really terrible. This is very difficult, but it is possible to escape. Eugene is a smart cookie. We are amazed. We admire your work, your mobility, that you have undertaken this task, because you know autism is a sentence. It's impossible to cure, and that's it. We said, and that was all. We were at a deadlock, and it was only our faith, our desire to help, our searching for the specialists who could help has brought us to Natalia's team. And here is a foolproof result, simply win-win. That's why I'm saying it with such pleasure, simply with pleasure, that I'm glad, I'm happy that we have got into Natalia's experiment. I'm happy for the results we have. I'm happy for that you and Andrew have became a family for us, a real family. As soon as Eugene starts talking, and he's going to start talking for sure, We will come to you. We will come to meet you. Thank you very much. Don't cry. Everything is great. Thank you. Thank you a lot. Thank you. Goodbye. All the best. Goodbye. Actually, the story of Eugene's mother is a shock for me. We work with subconsciousness with kids. You know, it's like at the bottom of the ocean when the tectonical plates have moved. It seemed not a big deal. The earth has moved a little bit, but you are not able to imagine what a huge storm, what a tsunami it will cause outside on the surface. And that's how we, being inside the subconsciousness, don't see the hell where the parents live. We don't see how a healthy 1.5-year-old child suddenly turns into a self-contained beastie. How the child loses his emotions, loses the contact with his parents, how he stops being adequate. This is terrible. May the God keep you away from such situations. In fact, the way out of such conditions is simple. I was sitting and perceiving. I haven't realized before what exactly are we doing. We just do this, we are good in this. We see those programs, we see what we need to change in the subconsciousness, but I never knew what is going on the surface and what the parents are going through. Today's story really plunged me into shock. Everything that Irina had to go through, she deserves a memorial in her lifetime. Let all the people be safe from this, and this wouldn't happen to anyone.
Everything you just saw is impossible from the modern science standpoint. But if the facts contradict the existing picture of the world, then it's necessary to revise the theory, not the facts. And we already have more than 50 such stories of healing autism, and this is proof of our hypothesis that the cause of autism is a breakdown of the soul, and that the soul exists. The soul is something like a player which plays in our body, and you also can interact with the other souls at any distance. And autism is not the only disease that can be treated with the help of the soul. Watch this in our next video.
Yes, it was very difficult and scary. We couldn't even imagine that such thing would happen to our child. Eugene's condition, it was totally inadequate. The diet, zucchini only. We even melted the sugar into the syrup. Then, this whole thing with nootropic treatment, the condition was getting worse. Endless blood tests, then the treatment with vitamins and minerals. I had to give Eugene a vitamin every 40 minutes after a meal, and I could barely make him eat. It was crazy. There were medical manipulations, micropolarization of the brain with zero result, magnetotherapy for 3 months, everyday visits to the clay pit and chalk pit by the doctor's recommendation. Shoot, I bring it up now and shiver. It was really hard, incredibly hard. I cried my heart out. My husband has lost 20 kilograms. I've lost 19. We are both gray-haired now. Your work with Andrew is priceless. This is the fact. There is still room for improvement, but everything goes as it should. For all of your efforts, for your work and interest to this topic, thank you. Thank you very much. We bow our heads. Your help is huge, really huge.